So if the outreach committee wants to promote a, I don't know, say a pamphleting or something, would they send it out to everybody on the directory? They would put it on the website,
Lynn,
and then I'm just.
there's another action issues committee that we're thinking about now too.
So
this
what's
is
the
just,
outreach? Is just to get the people onto
just
the list.
communications, get everything down, get it nailed down so that we're all on the same page that way. And everybody and anybody in the state of Pennsylvania that wants to join in and find out the rules as easily as possible. Maybe they don't belong to a group, but if they go on there, they can find out, oh, look, there's groups in your area. Well, maybe you can contact them too, and they can, because, you know, they have information to do that. This is my thought on how it could work. Whether it would, I don't know.
A question for Tom. Is it possible on this website to include, I'm thinking it probably is, a list of all the different groups and individuals who've chosen to participate, so that, I mean, because then anyone who goes on the front page is going to see, this is who we are.
If that's what people want to do, yes. We know technology today, everything is possible. It's just a matter of, you know, having the time to build it.
Okay, just sticking on the outreach committee. That sound like something we can do, we should pursue.
Yeah, I'm going to volunteer for that, just so we can get all this whole group, and we're all moving forward. I'll do that for the time.
Bill, if you
Okay.
could speak a little louder.
What?
You're volunteering? Okay.
Yeah, I'm volunteering.
The air conditioner here, I can't hear when you talk that.
What'd you say?
Tom, if I could ask what you would need to do that.
I'm not sure what that is.
This contact list for the emails and everything to get in there.
Yeah, just what we said. I think Bill's already volunteered to assemble a spreadsheet. So what I'll do is I'll start it off with what information, you know, I'll format it with what information we need. That's going to be, you know, the person's name, organization, email address, phone number. I think we agreed that's probably all we need. And I'll send it to you, and you can start filling out the spreadsheet with what you have.
That's something that can be sent out to everybody that's on the list so far and say, fill your names and information
Bill can
this
do
way.
well. Bill can do that and say to everybody, look, we're collecting this information. Reply to me with your information. Copy it, put it in the spreadsheet. Thank you.
Okay.
But going back to the overall committee, I do believe that we need a committee because I think it's too much for one person. It's a huge job for one person, so to have a few people working on it certainly makes sense.
Okay, the next question is then if we did that, should the committee be at least you two on it to start with so that, you know, you have an idea, you have it organized, you're probably going to be the one to sort of input the things, and then if somebody else wants to volunteer or whatever to help out.
I'm not sure that it's critical that I be on that committee, but if we're short people and I need to be, then I will be.
Bryn, would you share some of that information with us? What you had on the spreadsheet?
What's that?
Yeah, I took one of our email lists before a few months ago, and I compiled it into a spreadsheet already. I can send you what I have. I can't say it's completed, but I could send you a good starting point that has at least probably 20 to 30 entries.
Okay.
And some phone numbers.
Yeah, but those are the basic fields and columns, or
Yeah, I
as far
can
as
give
you
you
recall.
those. I probably
So
have a
then I
lot
don't
more.
have to send Bill anything. You just tell him to send Bill.
Sure,
He'll
if you want
continue from
that.
there.
I'm just saying, I took an email list, so if there was people missing on that email, they
Right.
might not be in there. So you would have to probably check it, or,
No problem. We'll get it
Good
done.
starting point.
yeah, get started.
Okay, do we want to create an outreach committee today? Okay.
I make a motion
All right, motion been made to create an outreach committee. Maybe we'll figure out who's going to be on it and everything. Seconded by Otto. Discussion on it now. Besides just basic information like that, getting it started just for an email contact list for everybody that can be disseminated through Otto.
Since we have volunteers, I call a question, although Helen had her hand up, I'm sorry.
I think we can all be part of the outreach committee. And the way I see that is that, we could even have business cards made up. I love that. And I could meet somebody and have a great organization, and, instead of not having anything with you, take the information down, they hand me their business card. And, we could be in and out, whatever conference we go to, whatever group we attend, and so we could all be part of the outreach committee. Not that we wouldn't have only 2 people involved in the, a larger scheme of things, or with a larger agenda. But I don't think it has to be restricted because the outreach committee all gets that.
Okay, I would, that's possible and all, but I think for now that we should maybe have a group of people and anybody that wants to volunteer, we can go for volunteers.
Sounds
to be
like
on
Helen
it.
just volunteered.
Helen, can be on. Okay.
I'm not sure yet.
Bill,
Still.
you want?
I'd like to
Dan?
make this, and I'm not volunteering.
No,
for this.
okay.
I would suggest that it's somebody who is either retired or disabled and has time, and people who have organizational skills. Computer is good, but people who can keep track of details. This is a detail job. And I would suggest the number be somewhere 4. 4 people is good, not too many, but backup. People get sick, stuff happens in families.
Chairman,
Otto.
we've got a motion on the floor and a second, and we've had 2 people volunteer as a startup. We can build off of that. I would suggest we just approve that and go from there, and maybe it will expand on to all of us being part of the committees. I would suggest we need to get it started, and those 2 volunteers, I think, are excellent for a start.
Okay, I agree. A motion is
Call the question.
okay. There's been 2 people that we volunteered, more or less, to start. Tom and Bill. Bryn said he'd help out as far as sending, his basic information in there, and we can build on that.
Whatever time I can give, I will do.
Okay, and anybody else that wants to help that way too. So, motion's been made that way to start this committee. Committee's has a couple volunteers. Would everybody be? We'll take a vote on that now. Anybody that would agree with that? Tom and Bill so far. Helen, if you care, and Bryn can volunteer, and Otto also, as a basic thing to get it going, at least to get that email list nailed down and working somehow. And then you guys can come up, or the committee can come up with good strategies maybe to expand out and what's necessary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, that's unanimous too. Thank you very much for that. That'll help a bit. The next thing that I had here, as far as a thought, was the Action Issues Committee. And part of it, maybe taking on what Dan was saying, we can't have too many issues. For statewide things, more statewide kind of issues, maybe 76, paycheck protection, the typical 5 or so that there were. And what I thought that maybe would it be good is if this committee would almost get information together so that if other people, I'll take 76 as an example. There were turncoats in the legislature. Yeah, we're all for it, we're signed up, we're co-sponsors. I got a vote on it. It was thrown in as a bill, an amendment, another bill, gutted it 76, and all of a sudden you find out that, oh man, half those people bailed, and they weren't. Well, they come from all over the state, and that should be pointed out whenever anybody from those areas, well, what are we working on? Well, look at this guy. you know, this is the main issue that would be nice to work on. Here's a start. Here's a good thing for you. You need help. We can give you, we, as this group, would have information ready to go, talking points and things like that. Maybe that Red Fox kind of layout, although we don't even need it, that person is pretty much the opposition, you know, to us. So, you know, we'd have something already for them to work on. Just a thought. Anybody else have any ideas on things like that, or?
I got a suggestion.
Okay.
If we get these groups out of this area to work with us, if there's anything that their legislators put in the paper, we need to have a copy of it. And we need to follow up on it. Once they go public, then we, out of their district, we have the right to contact them. Okay? Using that as an example, I want to go back to Dean's meeting down in Pottstown. I didn't go to the meeting. But what I did is I read the write-up in the Pottstown Mercury. I read the write-up in the Reading Eagle. I called Tim's office and actually said I wanted to talk with him because he made some factual mistakes. And that's bad for the Republican Party if he doesn't have the truth. So we ended up in a very interesting conversation with this. I've done the same thing when Benninghoff puts an article in the paper. I call him. Argyle just put one in. I called him. We need to get proactive on this.
And that's almost exactly what I think the Action Committee thinks to do. Everybody keep track of things like that. We just had one in our little local paper, which has to do with the TIF, which has to do with Hamilton Crossings in our little local area. Some poor person has a house, they had a screen of trees put up by the state to keep noise out. Well, when they're building the TIF, the tree's got to go. Oh, wait a minute. And she's ticked about this. TIF, all that kind of stuff. We should be able somehow to contact her. I think maybe we should contact that person. They're a good prime one now that might spread word out for everything else. Any way that we can to keep these ideas going, keep more people involved. She's probably going to her neighbors bitching and carrying on, you know, about this, so they're getting involved. It'd be nice to be able to take advantage of that when we can. So, just like you said, you know, whenever you see anything, and then we should all get that sort of information, especially big stuff, so that we can give that to people as talking points, as action items, things to do, where to go, how to do it. Get your neighbors incited. That's what I think we could do helpful for. We're going to go to auto just to get it first.
Has anybody here not seen the Lehigh Valley Commentator, both print and electronic version? Not seen it. Because, again, as action items, we as the Lehigh Valley Commentator, those on the inside know we're small, so we can't be everywhere. Now, at the last C4L meeting, in fact, the last two meetings, two ladies there put me wise to an issue that was going on in the Lebanon School District, which we will be reporting. We've got an article in the electronic version. There'll be more written about it in the Lehigh Valley Commentator. And that's a graphic example of what people outside, individuals, putting us wise to what's going on in the communication, and then we can use the commentator to also get information out. And if it's a key issue, it's important that's going on in the state, like 76 coming up for a big vote, or some politicians wavering, we can use the Action Network to advise people all over the state. But please, you know, when it comes to action, you have a vehicle with the commentator, both paper and electronic, to get information out to more people. And that is growing, by the way. In the last, since March, I think I saw the latest figure. Gio, correct me if I'm wrong on this. I thought it was 155,000 visitors. Visitors?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Yeah, I was just looking at that the other day. We are reaching people, and it's growing more and more as the months go by.
I have it down. Lynn.
I think you were first. Or you were.
No,
Go ahead.
that,
I'm overriding as chairman.
I just wanted to comment on particularly things that Rich and you talked about in terms of the actual action/issue committee. It seems to me that it's great to monitor everything that's going on. However, I believe we have to select a few issues that we're going to monitor and act upon, because we are too few people to be chasing everything in every direction. So once we decide on a few issues, I believe what we then need are issue managers, whether that's a person or a couple of people. But in that way, if we have a person or small group of people who kind of own that issue, as information is discovered in some local print, for example, it has a central location that it can be funneled back to, and everybody would know, hey, I just saw something on 76, I need to funnel it to Dean Clough, for example. And then Dean and whoever else might be in that little group decides this is something that we should tackle, we should follow up on, this is something we need phone calls, and then they create the action plan and disseminate it back out to the rest of the group. But we kind of need that single source guru who's got the big picture and sees everything that's going on, because there are a lot of subtleties in this game, and somebody says something, a little something over here that can upset the apple cart, and too many people kind of crisscrossing is going to wind up being a problem for us. And I think if we find someone for an issue and we put our trust and faith in that person's ability and we follow their lead, we'll be more successful.
Dan?
I agree with what Tom is saying. Any of the information that comes in has to be vetted first. I mean, if it's a published news article, true or not, it's vetted, it's been published. We can say it was published, whether it's true or not, that's on the people who did the reporting, who did the initial publishing. However, a lot of times information is going to come in that doesn't seem like it's necessarily germane to the main attack on, let's say, 76. But if I know that there's somebody who has turned their backs on us, who originally committed on 76, and I get verification on information that shows that they're guilty of some other sin, something embarrassing, something that puts pressure, something local that makes their own constituents really hot, I want to use it. And I would trust one person to be careful enough to find out, one person or a small group, depending on how big the issue is, to find out, is this information that's been reported to us correct? And how can we use it? Because you've got to be, as Tom was saying, really, really careful in what you put out and the way you put it out. You don't want to just be intemperate. If you're on any of the social media, you see that even some of the most sober people who are really smart and really rational say some really over-the-top things and end up causing feuds that are completely unnecessary and end up costing us unity exactly when we need it. And this happens all the time.
And I would say perfect agreement with that. And somebody like Rich here, who's in contact with the legislators, various ones across the parties, has worked up a great rapport. Not pumping them up, this is the kind of people that are trustworthy that way and fill you in, and they understand bases, especially 76, which is financial and everything, has caused a lot of stir in there, and they trust somebody like that, you know, that you have to build that trust. So that's the kind of people that we need. Some people are really good at it, some people, you know, aren't so good at it, you know, and you butt heads or whatever, but yeah, we need people just like that all over, so that we get the feelers from the legislators too, because they're the ones that are making that decision, whether it's right or wrong as far as our eyes, but so that we can understand the real news from the horse's mouth, not this stuff that's printed in the paper. But again, like Otto's saying too, this is what I see with the Lehigh Valley Commentator as being a voice on a different side. And we could put things out. That's the information that goes to general population, people that might not be thinking about doing anything, but they're just reading this. And then when they go to vote, maybe it sticks in their mind that I want to go that way. So those are the communications, the actions, and then disseminating this out. We, the people, disseminates it to the people that are involved. The newspapers give it to people that aren't involved, but maybe want to hear about it and can change their view. So I'm trying to see if we would agree to try to do these things so that we can get that. That's my thoughts. So the action committee thing, issues, I agree, Tom, there's only a few that we should stick with. There's way too many that they're making new ones up every time. Auto.
Are we in agreement that 76 should be at the top or near the top of the list of action items for us? So let's identify one or two. Or is that part of your?
And this, yeah. There's different ideas, but yeah, there's even the paper. I have things down further as we're going, so we jump schedule that way. That's okay. There's the whole meeting in general, and I wanted to see if we could accomplish these two things, and then get going, get everything nailed out. I think, Bill, you're right. It'd be nice for us to look like these people know what they're doing. Here's a site we can go to. We can trust these things. People in the know are in contact with the legislators. They're pretty up on things. They're on the conservative side. We're giving news that other people aren't. Bryn?
I just wanted to mention that I had a different impression where as this was kind of more like groups were coming together to kind of discuss what each other was working on and could help each other do that out of a voluntary type of mechanism. And that I'm just looking, for example, what if in a year or whatever some issue comes up and half the groups are just totally disinterested in that issue, but are we saying that we're going to pick issues for the we the people to go on, or am I just hearing that wrong?
I would say that we're trying to pick certain main ones that we think would have the most benefit to everybody in the state. Yeah, we're vetting certain issues, but we're not saying, just like Gio and Dan, there's local issues too that are primo for some people, and you do what you can. We're hoping that everybody could work on these so that we nail every legislature all at the same time on the same thing, and that would put a little pressure to think that way.
I feel that when the outreach thing is set up so that the messages are going out, hey, we're doing this, we are going after this guy, if you can help us out. I think there's going to be a lot of effort, from everybody if they can, whatever they can. They're going to do, send emails, calls, whatever. I see that's happening. I just didn't want to, I'm wary of getting to a point where, an issue is selected that maybe, if you get 100 other groups or whatever, say it's just an issue that maybe doesn't resonate with a lot of people and they feel like they're being, kind of corralled into it or something.
This is totally voluntary.
Yeah, okay.
But can I comment on
okay.
that? I think that what we're looking to do is to select a small number of core issues that we all, or the majority of us, agree we're going to commit to moving. Now that right, and so that's sort of the core piece of it. But in addition, that's not going to be all that we do. In addition to that, there may be other things that certain groups decide to take on their own and try to get everyone else to help them with too. But we have a few core ones that we commit to.
We need to win some.
Yeah.
need to win one. If we could win paycheck protection, prevailing wage, any of those things would be wonderful. We just don't seem to be able to do that, so we need to be able to push these people into doing something.
John,
Bill.
one of the things, would you talk about a local issue that you wanted to talk about in terms of the school policy about? I mean, I think that's perfect, because what happens is we have state level up here, which we're trying to get everybody to get on these people's back that says, if you do this, we're doing that. But there are local issues. Kind of talk about that.
Oh, I can. I don't want to take John off of his agenda necessarily.
But I think this will help in terms of what you said about with local groups or whatever. It may not matter to Dan as far as what we may be doing in eastern Pennsylvania as far as for the school, where kids are going to be strip searched by the administrators at the school. You may have policies out there that it's already taken care of, it's not going to happen. But we have that issue, and what we're trying to do is to see if we can co-join with groups, which is another avenue that can happen on different parts of the state.
I would just want to say something in that. I would see this as, okay, we the people.
Right.
When you go to your legislator and you're talking to them for whatever the issue is, it could be a very private local thing, and say, yeah, I belong to a group, we the people. I want them to shudder, because they know that Pennsylvania is behind them. Even though this is a very unique thing to their talk, we want to know that I'm going to just let this be known everywhere, and bang, my idea. Dan?
In terms of getting a win, which we're in total agreement with, not just a win, but a series of wins, a steamroller. Local's much easier than state. And the issue of strip searches in schools, my kid's grown now, they don't do that in my district, but they could do that in my district. And it's instructive in any case, because even if we don't face exactly the same issue, and many places might, how you attack it, the way you deal with it, watching you gather information. People are going to want to support this, and they're going to learn from it. There's a lot of new groups, as I was saying. They're springing up, and they're not even necessarily groups. These are 5, 10 people who are meeting on one local issue, and a couple of them are really clued in, and the next thing you know, they come up with a name, and they start having regular monthly meetings. And as soon as they start having some local success, they start going, well, okay, we've dealt with our problems, we're going to continue to, but what about that larger county problem? What about that larger state problem? What about the latest crap that Obama pulled? What can we do about that? And be effective. So that's a definitely good idea.
Can I follow up on that and try to keep it short? But I think this is a good example. Otto's brought up 76, that's a statewide. Now, if I'm hearing this right, we're also going to consider, is there a somewhat local issue that we might also consider? And this whole strip search thing, what I can tell you is that right now the Lehigh Valley Tea Party has formed an action committee to tackle it, and Berks County Patriots has as well. What has happened recently is Saucon Valley School District was looking to just update their search policy. The attorney gave them language out, from the with
PSBA.
Probably
Yeah.
PSBA.
PSBA manual. And as it turns out, that standard boilerplate language does not prohibit strip searches. We started getting to look at it, and it turns out that there was a Supreme Court decision in 2009, and where that leaves us is strip search is a gray area. In the one case that was decided in 2009, it was determined that school district, the Safford Unified School District, had gone too far and had violated this 13-year-old girl's Fourth Amendment rights. They strip searched her looking for Tylenol. So they determined that they had gone too far in that case. However, there's no clear guideline, and what they've said is that it's okay for school officials